All right, so maybe we'll start with the uninitiated. Who are you? I know who you are, but somebody might not.
Well, my name is Iqra Khalid, and I am the Member of Parliament in Mississauga, Erin Mills. I am also a York University graduate.
Okay, and you graduated out of
The professional writing and criminology. That was
Okay.
the two majors that I had when I was at York.
Okay, cool. And what would you say influenced you to start a political career? You didn't just leap out of York right into politics.
You know, you'd be surprised. When I was at York, I was very involved in student life. You know, I was the York is You student alumni program, and then the Pakistani Student Association, the Muslim Student Association, and there were so many others that I was always part of, and I was always up to something. So I think that York had a huge role to play in where I've ended up now, because it gave me that firsthand experience in community building, which is what I think politics is all about.
Yeah. I think I remember reading that you united kind of two similar student groups.
I did. It was a long struggle, but ultimately we were able to sit down at a negotiating table and we amalgamated the two groups, wrote a constitution, and now they're still thriving and still doing very, very well.
Do you think that'd be like a nice prophecy for your political career, kind of get past partisanship, unite some people?
You know, that's something that I'm very passionate about, is that I think that our personal differences should not be a hindrance to what we can collectively achieve.
Okay. And this is so that's how kind of York influenced your political career. And then after York, I think there's kind of a huge difference in the political climate from when you graduated in kind of mid 2000s, early 2000s to when you ran for office. And what kind of differences in that climate do you think may have led to your success or influenced that campaign?
You know, Canada has been my home, and it was a home by choice. I wasn't born here. It was a place where my family and I immigrated to. I have a lot of love and a lot of respect for the democratic system that is Canada. You know, coming from Pakistan, where, you know, one term we have martial law, another term there's a democracy, etc. It really helped me to understand the value of governance. And something that has always intrigued me is, how can we as a country be so different? You know, we are a majority made up of minorities, and have so many clashing interests, and yet still be one of the most peaceful countries in the world. And that is something that I've always thought about. And then over the past 10 years, as I watched slowly but surely that idea disintegrate, and I noticed a lot of, you know, divisiveness in the way we did politics and the way we governed our country. It really led me to think that, you know what, I am a young brown Muslim woman, and people like me should be sitting at the decision-making table and making sure that we are as inclusive as we can be.
I think that's, yeah, very important. It's nice to see like a very genuine reflection of, you know, what Canada should be in office, and it's starting to happen.
So what work has the Justice and Human Rights Committee been undertaking?
So we just started. We've had about 2 meetings so far and a couple of in-camera ones. We've set the steering to what we should be doing. Basically, how it works is that the government will put forward legislation that they would want the Justice Committee to review. And when we're not taken by that work, we do have the option to, you know, on our off days, basically analyze other parts of legislation. And thus far, we have really wanting to take a deeper review of access to justice. We think that a lot more can be done in terms of providing access. You know, higher crime rates amongst minorities, especially Indigenous people. It is something that can be reduced, if not eliminated, by providing greater access to justice, and the statistics prove that. Other legislation that we will be reviewing going forward is the medical assisted dying, the marijuana file, C-51, some aspects of it, and so on and so forth, basically. Anything that has to do with the criminal code or or human rights or the Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms is something that would ultimately come before the Justice Committee.
Okay, so what has been your most rewarding accomplishment so far?
That is a tough one. This is going to sound very weird. When we were campaigning, as we know, the Liberal Party was the third party in the race. Chances of me winning were very slim. And I was up against a very strong incumbent who's a great man and a very knowledgeable man. It was about 5-6 days before the election, and we had gone out canvassing with a team of about 6 or 7 people. And when I came back to our campaign office with that team of people, I noticed that the campaign office was full. It was to the max full. It's about 1,300 square feet, and there were at least 60 people in there. And it was eerily quiet. Nobody was talking, nobody was saying anything, but they all were sitting in little circles, huddled around wherever there was room. And they're doing something, and I didn't know what they were doing, and I looked closer, and they were putting together poll kits. They were door hangers, they were putting addresses to polling locations. And there were young people, old people, there were people of color, there were people of all across the world, and they were working together in such harmony. I almost cried when I saw that. It really helped me to understand why it's so important to work together as a community, and that when we do work together as a community, we can accomplish so much. And that was, I think, the most rewarding moment of the whole campaign.
So what constitutes your success as an MP?
I think that ultimately we're all doing it to make a difference. And it really depends on what your definition of a difference really is. In my case, I think maybe a small difference to my constituents who really need help. For example, I had last week a student, an international student who came in really struggling, wanted to extend his work permit in Canada in order to continue going to school while also supporting himself, and was not able to do it. He was about to be deported, and we helped him out. We helped him get his paperwork in order, and the thank you that I got from him was very, very gratifying. It helped me having made a difference in his life. At the national level, Canada's going places. We are going to be the next innovative country. We're going to be up and coming in peacekeeping missions. We're going to be up and coming in technology, in environment, and it's great to be a part of that difference at the national level.
What will it take to attain your goals?
Hope and hard work, my friend. Hope and hard work. Like I said, I was born in Pakistan, and my father, he was born in a village where there was no electricity, there was no gas. When it got dark, right? And he was able to, he just loves education. He loves to know. And he really thrived in that. He he completed his undergraduate from home, studying by candlelight. And then he went on to do his master's in the biggest city of Pakistan at the time. And then he came back to teach in that same village because he wanted others to have that experience. That wasn't enough. He went on to become a professor at a university in Pakistan. Still wasn't enough. He went to England to obtain his PhD. And from there, we came to Canada as a family. And I think that one lesson that I have learned from my father is that, if you want to do something, you will never give up. You will always strive to do it, no matter how many sleepless nights you have, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how hard the struggle is. You will keep going if you believe in it enough. And I think that having that belief, that vision of what you want to do really sets you in a good path to go out and do it.
Your dad's such a hard worker.
He is.
Wow.
He is.
Okay, so what is the most challenging situation you have encountered as a new MP?
It's different. The lifestyle that we lead now as members, where we have to maintain basically a home away from home in Ottawa and then also coming back to help our constituents. So I'm working 7 days a week and not complaining. I'm loving every moment of it. It gets very difficult, like I said, when you have so many conflicting interests, and I am bound to represent the ideas of my constituents, their concerns. And sometimes it's not always clear which side, who is right, and to provide that balance, to provide that equitable approach to representation. It is sometimes very difficult, that I think that other seasoned politicians would not face the same difficulties. Something that we all learn how to do, basically, is to balance the interests towards a greater good.
Mm-hmm. And you're very young, too. Like, do you think that it's kind of playing a part in it? Like,
I'm not as young as I look. Unfortunately or fortunately, it's funny when I'm walking around on Parliament Hill, I get asked all the time, "Which member do you work for?" And I'm just like, "Dude, I am the member." It's funny. It's a very humbling experience to be sitting in that room. I think age is just a number. There are obviously good sides and bad sides. If I was older, if I had more experience, I would not be able to think outside the box. I would be set to follow the experience and, just go with the flow. But I think that not having that experience really gives the younger MPs a bit of an edge, because we then tend to find solutions in different ways that may not have been used before. Mm-hmm. So there's pros and cons to both.
Okay. Okay, so those are all the questions we have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this. It's good to be back at York after so many years.
It's nice to have you back.
Thank you.